Fernanda, Elisa, thank you so much for joining us virtually again. I think this has been the third time we've been together this way on Zoom for Thornhill Theatre Space in the last year. So thanks for being back again.
Thank you.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Awesome. So we just want to thank all our viewers for joining us today as we do celebrate 1 year of Thornhill Theatre Space. Today we're just going to be sitting down to have a very informal chat, a bit of a catch-up, and recap the last year, what we've been up to, and talk about the Couch Readings premiere that launched Thornhill Theatre Space and put it on the map. So the first episode was a play called Hold 'Em by Alex Brune, an Australian playwright. And that was the first, the night that Thornhill Theatre Space launched, we sat down and we did that reading twice, because if we remember correctly, the first time China internet was not on our side. So we had to come back, I think it was the next night or the night after that, and do it again. And it went off without a hitch. So that was good. It was the first one. I believe it's still the highest viewed couch reading episode that we have on Facebook. So that's exciting. But what was it like to sit down and kind of do a reading like that virtually? Because it was the first time both of you had done it, right?
Yeah, definitely. It kind of just opened up. I think we'd all kind of just been thrust into this COVID world, and doing readings online wasn't even a thing thought about, in the theatre process or the rehearsal process, or it was nothing that I'd really experienced. Fernanda, you'd probably be the same.
Yeah, apart from the first table read that you do once you get, cast, it's not something that's practiced quite readily. It's like a scene by scene or moment by moment. So it was a different way of attacking something and just having a go. So it was a little intimidating at first, but a lot of fun as well, because you had all bets were off. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I guess I'll say this to you guys, and probably, to the first of many people, we're kind of rethinking of maybe another season of couch readings. And what did you guys think as being the actors? Did you think that the concept behind the live stream, do you think it was something that was beneficial for playwrights to have an opportunity to do something like that and get it read?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It's also that little bit of improvisation that as actors you learn. That's one of the first activities you do in an acting class when you're young, or a drama class or something like that, is the art of improvisation. A table read in its first kind of stages is about finding your feet with the character. So having that opportunity to investigate that character for the first time, improvise and do it all live stream, just straight off the bat, is actually a really fun kind of opportunity. It's a kind of beautiful, unrehearsed version of theatre that we don't quite have so much of these days.
Right. And it's really low stress. And that's kind of what I felt with it as well. It was just we were just a bunch of theatre practitioners who sat down and just had a good time, reading some fun stories. And that's what I kind of hope everybody kind of got from it. So, yeah, you guys did another episode later in the season, Failed Bechdel Test, which was written by Pedro Diegues. And so you got to come back again and be part of the series and read something that was really quite different from the first one. Did being in it the first time make you more comfortable and more, with it and relaxed with the second time that you guys did it?
Well, we were more comfortable with the format, and I guess the other part of it was part of the improvisation. We had another element of computer glitches and audio issues and things like that. So we were a bit more comfortable with if it stops recording, it stops recording, or if there's a glitch, there's a glitch. So definitely made it a little bit easier coming in the second time.
Well, let me tell you, this probably my favorite was being on these live streams with YouTube, because you guys would pick up when China internet was not working very well for me. And you guys would just kind of spin off and continue talking, which really helped, kind of keep the flow of things go, because eventually I would be able to pop back in and, join in the conversation. But it was really nice to have you guys there to kind of, you knew where we were going with the whole, episode, and you kind of just were able to spitball and continue the conversation, which was really great, when things technically don't go right.
Oh, what, me and Fernanda? Look at us. We can talk underwater. Give us technical glitches left, right, and center. We'll be fine.
Absolutely.
We'll entertain your audience. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And there was another quite big difference between the two plays that you guys read. The first one was quite lengthy, and the second one was significantly shorter. I feel like I quite liked getting as the host and kind of pushing the conversation on what to talk about. I felt like I liked the shorter ones better, because it gave you guys more time at the end to kind of really talk about it. By the end of that really long-winded one that you guys did at the beginning, you both were tired, and it was kind of hard to keep pushing conversation. So how did you guys feel about that, the longer one versus the shorter one?
I thought they were both okay. I think there was a lot of novelty towards the first one. So no matter how long it was, and I think, Fernanda, you had a lot of huge chunks of monologue through it. I think the novelty of it just kept us going, which was great. I think possibly if we're going to keep doing kind of live reads like this, where, we want a little bit more interaction from the community, then I reckon that, we keep it short and keep it, adaptable, something that people understand, and, something that's relevant life-wise that, people can jump on and, really resonate with. But otherwise, I think the length.
I mean, the thing here, another direction that I'm kind of want to maybe take this next season, if I do it, is, and I have a friend that we've both worked with. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but he's writing a musical, and I've gotten a couple of the drafts. It's an Australian musical, and I think I want to read the whole thing through a few times and kind of pick a really good chunk and make that chunk of it part, because I think that's beneficial too. You don't always necessarily need to read the whole story. Being able to sit down and maybe find a part in the script that is not working for you as a playwright, or when you have it on its feet with an actors, it doesn't really work. Let's give that part of it a little bit more attention. So that's kind of another direction.
Yeah.
And I mean, and those kinds of little snippets is kind of what actors get when they go into the audition room. They get one scene, they get a couple of scenes they need to play out and feel around with, the other actors. And that's where a director is determining whether there's chemistry, or determining whether their interpretation of the character is correct. And I think something small like that, having that small snippet out, really does give the writer, the director, a real good opportunity to sense out the vibe of how it's going to be.
Another thing that I've always kind of kept in the back of my mind when I was doing this is, what benefit can I give the actors? And it always kind of stuck with me, that was like, they can take those snippets, and that's perfect for show reels. That's perfect for, things like that. Because you guys can attest to this, all of me and the actors, we would sit down and rehearse one rehearsal before the reading to kind of talk through it and kind of get an understanding of it. So, it's not something that actors are doing for the first time. It is slightly rehearsed, so you can use it as a reference, give it a link to your casting director or whatever, to be able to get them to just see a variety of different things that you've done, which I think would be extremely beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, me and Elisa have been in a couple of musicals, and even some of the newer ones, we always go, this scene just doesn't feel right. Like, there's just something missing. So even for a new musical that's coming through, having a look at, those little sticky scenes, how you said, is just perfect for a playwright. And to really then go, okay, well, if this isn't necessarily clicking, let's see how the actors feel, let's talk it over on the table. So it gives another level of, I guess, creativity to the scene to make it actually work for the audience as well.
And I mean, it's fun, it's relaxed, it's chill. We're all sitting at home. Why not, take those, extra couple minutes and a half hours in the evenings and sit down and just pop on our phone and do a reading. It's not something that needs to stop once once everything starts getting back to normal, it is something that we can still kind of do. And it can be like a book club, you know what I mean? Everybody does book club, you know what I mean? It can be stuff like that that still continues on, which I think is really great. So I hope to continue doing stuff like that and yeah, pushing forward and seeing what we can do.
It was a really wonderful experience to do something mid-COVID, and it did kind of bring that little bit of a glimmer of hope that theatre would come back. And so now that theatre is back, I think we should still keep it going. Yeah, absolutely.
Over the past, year back there in Australia, what were you doing to keep busy? What were you doing to keep yourself sane? Was the, what was the situation like there as opposed to like kind of other places?
I guess it was great having the couch readings and the fact that I guess community theatre in particular really captured and tried to put things on as virtually as possible. We had some drive-in entertainment where performers would go on stage and people would hire out the drive-ins and sit in their cars and listen through their radios. So I think people got really creative in the space, which was really nice because the arts keeps us moving kind of thing. So and then I guess Australia was fortunate that come mid last year our professional production started to ramp up again. So we got to see the likes of Frozen, Pippin come back. Now we've got Hamilton opening, or just opened a week ago. So I feel that things are starting to feel relatively normal again. I mean, wearing a mask inside a theatre was a very weird experience for a while, especially when you're trying to like woo and clap and
absolutely, yeah.
But it's what you did to keep safe and keep other people safe, and at least we had the opportunity to see live theatre throughout the last 6 months. So we've been very fortunate here in Australia. Very exciting. I just closed Susical with Camden Musical Society. That was difficult, jumping around at 34 weeks pregnant, but it was the feeling to be on stage again, to look at and see that audience. It was priceless. I don't think I've felt that way since my first musical theatre production. Right, it was like starting again. It was really lovely.
Like everyone's first time all over again, really. Yeah.
It really was. It really was. And the fact that, a week before or 2 weeks before our not Prime Minister, our state premier announced that 30 people could sing in one space, and literally the whole production team had learnt, only 5 people were allowed to sing this number and 5 people were this. And then in the last week and a half, we had to learn all the numbers so that we could help out those 5 people. It was a mad scramble, but it kept us on our toes. And I think that's what community theatre does for a lot of people. It breaks the monotony of life, and it gives you that kind of space to be creative and work with what you got.
Now, you mentioned there before about Frozen and Pippin coming back, and then Hamilton. What was it that you took in? What kind of theater, whether it be live or digitally, over the past year that you really enjoyed or got to experience? Like I said, digitally or live.
Yeah, so I think the couch readings were great, obviously. And it was good because they were kind of worldwide. So it wasn't like I was just watching Australian people or people that I knew. It was like really people that I've never heard of that was super talented, and you got to see them in that real raw form, which was really nice. Blue Mountains group did amazing concerts. They did
I saw that.
Just spectacular. And then the conversations that happen in between, not just the actual song that they would sing, but then the commentary in between, and hearing other people going through the same struggles that you and your companies have been going through was just really heartwarming, and it was so professionally done and amazing. So Blue Mountains, they were awesome in this period.
So when you did the reading for Hold'em, the first one that we did there, your character had some really chunky bits of dialogue. It was a lot of some flashbacks, a lot of explaining situations and things. Can you tell me what it was like for you in this specific situation with the online digital version, us having a slight rehearsal beforehand. How was it for you to navigate through those little chunky bits of dialogue?
Oof. It was hard because I guess when you have those big chunks and you put it to stage, you have a lot of time to work through that. You get a rhythm, you break it up. You, instead of going sentence for sentence, you could potentially break a sentence in half, put a pause in, and add movement. And that's how I genuinely remember
Right.
lines. I add movement. And so to sit and to deliver was really, really difficult, because then I would try to add movement and then I'd be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have to go back, and you could lose your spot. And so it was really tricky to navigate, keeping connection with the audience and really giving a character a personality, but as well being true to the playwright's words and making sure that it comes across. To this day, I know one of those monologues pretty well, not off by heart, but if I start, I reckon I could stumble my way through it, in particular where they're talking about the river and the different kind of categories and things like that. I think I learned more about Texas Hold'em from that experience than actually from playing it. So all the terminology and the names of the cards and things like that, so they're all stuck in my brain. But yeah, it was, for me, it was really difficult to navigate those chunks of monologue without the movement, by sitting stagnant. But the rehearsal did help. So if I had been given that as a cold read, I think the intimidation would have been
Absolutely
through the roof.
Well, I remember in the rehearsals, and especially because we had that little mishap, which gave us kind of a little bit more of a time, we did kind of start to try and work on what we could do between the two of you on, this digital sphere to be able to kind of keep you in a rhythm, to keep you going. I remember trying to work with that and then try different things that we could do to try and, keep it going, so that it would, because that helps too, when you're trying to remember things. If you're in a good pace, but it is hard to do in this.
Yeah, and that was the difference, I guess, like in between Hold'em and what was the test called?
Failed Bechtel test.
Thank you. Because I think we were a little bit more prepared, and so we had props, we had costuming, we were like really like, okay, let's just creatively take this and work with it. Whereas with Hold'em, it was a bit more raw, and it was a bit more like, well, let's just have a go and see what happens. So that's the biggest difference between the two, I feel.
All right, so Elisa, so over the past year, everywhere kind of around the world has been on different levels of, what can we do, what can we not do, how can we create our art, and how can't we create our art.
Yeah.
What is it that you've been able to do in the situation that you've been in to really, keep creating and keep practicing the art that you
I mean, look, our access to direct theatre was obviously, decreased significantly. I kind of tried to keep it alive by like watching whatever I could online, bootlegs that you could find. The Hamilton drop on Disney Plus for Australia was huge and really invoked that little spark all over again. I was fortunate enough to know that I'd have a production at the end of it, or there was still like a production that was coming. It was just postponed indefinitely at that point. So I just kind of kept going with those songs that I was working on and kept going on my script that way. I mean, it turns it into a long, laborious process when you don't have a date that you're working towards, but that's how it kind of stayed alive for me. And of course, doing the couch readings was fantastic. And, even like watching your World Theatre Day, all of your posts and everything really kept it alive, because at the end of the day, say for the big companies that are doing all the promoting, there's not a lot of social media presence, or engagement so much from theatre companies. It's more so, this is what we've got coming up, buy tickets to it, because that's the main sell. Whereas, will there be a shift now in interaction from companies given COVID? I don't know, but like, that's what I found. Anything that was kind of interactive kept it kind of alive. Exactly. I think at one point, everyone does this with their friends, kind of, But I had my on-stage husband messaging me just random lines, and it was my job to, on the spot, quickly respond and get the scene going backwards and forwards, just in text messages.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it was great. That's something that we probably otherwise wouldn't have done without a chunk of a period of separation. But yeah,
Absolutely.
no, it's been beautiful.
It's a way to keep it fresh and keep it going. I think that's brilliant. All right, so tell me, past year, I know that things have been a bit different at times in Australia. What have you seen live or online in the past year that comes to the top of your mind? What have you seen? What have you watched?
I've seen a couple of things, actually. I mean, look, the headline was Hamilton getting dropped on Disney Plus.
Right.
It was obviously very, very well marketed and obviously very, very well timed, given that the premiere was coming up to Sydney, just to give everyone a little bit of heads up of what was happening. So that was great. Got really into that. In the same respect, as soon as theatres and, restaurants and all that kind of stuff started opening last year, I went and saw a few live jazz bands, which was fantastic. And the Darlow at Darlinghurst, run by the Darlinghurst Theatre Company, put on like this Wednesday night summer sessions, which, had comedians, and it had a live jazz band as well. So it was like theatre, it was like jazz and comedy all in one. So I did a few of those nights, which was fantastic. I mean, look, it was all socially distanced. You got to check in, whatever. But small things like that were just fantastic. I think the last year has been more of a preparation. I think everyone's noticed that it was missing. I think everyone kind of then had the opportunity to develop a little bit more of a desire for it coming back. And I think it's just about to launch off. Like, everywhere, any kind of theatre production that's on at the moment just seems like the absolute best thing to do.
Right.
I've also got tickets to La Traviata, which is coming up. I'm going in the next couple of weeks. It's on Sydney Harbour, which will be beautiful. So things like that. I think we've had like a really beautiful downtime, kind of anticipatory kind of time in society, and I think the arts are about to explode.
So let's just jump back to the couch readings, because it was just this funny idea that I had, it wasn't something that I was trying to take all too seriously, and I just wanted to kind of really keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was such a fun experience. I mean, look, there's so much kind of, it depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of thespian you are, what kind of actor you are. You can either be really good at your craft and quite nervous behind the scenes, or you can, diva it up and just be excellent from the word go. Find confidence in every kind of aspect. I'm not kind of like that. I'm more of a, I'd rather polish something before I show everyone. And that was kind of a really good opportunity for me to step out of my comfort zone. It's so frequently, cousins, family members will say, why don't you sing, just sing, like at a random dinner, or sing at a wedding, or sing at, and it's kind of like, hang on. I that's out of my comfort zone, because I'm not prepared. And if I give you some, piece of my art, or, something like that, if I show you my talent, I want it to be completely perfected before you have the opportunity to judge it. So that the couch readings really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I mean, albeit having the screen there is kind of comforting, but it was live, it was raw, it was uncut, and that was really wonderful. And I kind of thought to myself in that moment, you've got a lot of training, there's nothing to worry about. I think by halfway through, or by the second couch reading, or by the time we'd got through the technical glitch of the first one, I think all I was actually worried about was whether or not I could read quickly enough. But what I hope the audience took from it, and what I hope everyone takes from it, if you go back and have a look at it, is it's the real initial stages of developing an art. It's kind of like if you were to go to a gallery and you saw one of Monet's sketches, or if you saw just a preliminary stage of an artwork, and what the end piece is going to be. Lots of people have seen theatre, lots of people have seen professional theatre. We know what the end piece is meant to look like, but for the audience to experience that journey with us and to have them come with us at the very beginning. It's an incredible experience that a lot of people have. I think it could even inspire people to say, hey, hang on, I can do it, if that's the initial stages.
Well, that first reading that we had, and it was probably one of the most engaged readings of the whole series. We had people commenting on it throughout the whole reading. We were able to take those comments and throw them up on the screen and talk about them in the discussion afterwards. It was just such it couldn't have been a better first episode for coming from someone who really didn't know what to expect from it.
Exactly. Yep. Look, I think engagement-wise, it was wonderful too. I'd kind of hope that kind of engagement doesn't taper off. I mean, as all the thespians kind of get back to rehearsals or get back into the swing of rehearsing for an audition or something like that, we've got to keep these little kind of bursts of theatre alive, these kind of interactive ones. Keep it alive, keep it accessible.
All right, Elisa, go. Tell us everything we need to know about Beautiful.
Well, okay, so I'm currently performing in Beautiful with the Blackout Theatre Company. We will be going on from the 7th to the 16th of May at the Pioneer Theatre in Castle Hill. This production is spectacular, and I don't just say that because I'm in it. The cast has worked so hard. It's just going to be incredible. I have been fortunate enough to have been cast as Carol King, and it's been a journey that I expected to go on a journey with Carol when I researched the role and auditioned for the role. But what I didn't expect was the profound humility that I have gained in exploring the role. Carol King's experience and her effect on the whole music industry, you know, from the 60s to now has just been profound. And I'm so humbled to be hopefully giving the character as much depth as she deserves. So, aside from that, I can't play the piano at all. So I'm sorry, Carol, I have tried, but it's quite tricky. So aside from that, I won't be playing the piano. I'll be falsely playing the piano, but I can't wait to put on stage. So tickets, I think we might post a link to the tickets somewhere on Ryan's theatre page. So jump on board and get tickets before they all sell out.
You guys have been working so hard for so long, and there's been so much anticipation behind it. And it's time for you guys to get out there and do it.
Thank you so much. I mean, we started with 5 shows. We started at a 1 weekend run. Look, so many tickets sold out within the first week of tickets opening, that we opened up the second week. And now we've sold out a midweek show as well. So we've gone from 5 shows to 10 shows, and we've got 2 sold out shows already with a month to go. And it's truly spectacular. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I'm ready for the bows. I'm just ready for the bows. The opening scene and the bows. That's what I'm living for right now.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, everybody just make sure that you're checking out all the links that we have, and head on over and learn everything you need to, where you need to go, buy your tickets and all that, and just don't miss it, because clearly it's something everybody wants to see.
That's great. Oh, Ryan, thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
On behalf of myself, Fernanda, and Elisa, I would like to thank you for joining us today as we commemorate our 1-year anniversary. As the artistic director of Thornhill Theatre Space, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who has supported us over the past year. We have really tried to continue to keep theatre alive and connect the world through telling stories. Continue to keep following us. We plan to have a lot of fun and exciting things in the future. So check us out, keep following us, and we thank you again for all your support.